Okay, welcome everybody. I want to express a different angle to restoration and thinking about nature and managing nature. I'm an economist. And it's the biggest thing to be an economist in green issues. Everybody loves us up to the point we express big numbers how valuable nature. And any moment we try to express what this science or this experience that society had with adapting to boundaries, resource boundaries, which have many good tools developed during our history, then everybody say, no, we don't want to hear about it. And then we have the results. And we try to adapt to nature, but don't use the tools to manage adaptation, we have problems. But it's not just with nature policy, we have the same with industrial policy. When we want to develop industry, we do the thing that just not the way as the market thinks. And the society thinks about markets and how it behaves, so we have many failed policies, not just in nature, but in other parts as well. So I would just suggest us to reconsider to think about economics and economists and what to expect from them or us. And why is it important? Because as the OECD expressed, they has a 10 or 15 years old program for the water governance principle to improve, that water crises are usually policy failures. So not the problem is what happens, but our inability to cope with it. And what is in the laws does not that happen on the ground. And it's not because the laws are bad in many respects, but the implementation failed somewhere. And if you think about the Water Framework Directive and what the OECD described as potential problems during an implementation, then we can list all of these ticks. So we shouldn't change the Water Framework Directive. We should think about why it failed as an implementation process. And it's very different thing than the law is bad or not. So first start with, you can say, big numbers that are expected from us. This is an example from 25 years ago from the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, mangrove ecosystem that are partly related here with many ecosystem services we want to have from that area. But an area can provide many different type of services that may change the landscape. And that's what happened in Honduras in this area. This is a satellite picture from 1987, and that happened in a 12-year period, just converting some of the place to these views that we have just seen. And now it's an post analysis from the ecosystem assessment. What is the balance, the economic balance? There is some revenue, if it's there in place from timber and non-timber products. And there are revenues from fish production from the transformed areas. It seems that there's no place for any negotiation about what could be done. We can put something as a direct revenue here as well. That really changed the picture. Coastal protection against some winds and torrents and cyclones, whatever. And the picture just changed if you put public benefit into the picture. And the balance again changed if you put the subsidies, that is just tax money, so it's from the public buckets as well. Then the cost of pollution, or the cost of reconstruction if we wanted to put it back. So if we have this balance, then we can decide what to do depending on who we are, which stakeholder groups we are. This is an economic tool to map a decision or a process, but it's not what economists are responsible for. It's just a reflection of the society, the power structure, and the question that a given society, what ability they have to somehow have in harmony public benefits and individual benefits. It's an ability of a society. Can they do it or not? If a society fails again and again, then it will go down. If it's a kind of capacity that they can put together, then it will have a sustainable future. And adaptation is something that goes us towards this sustainable future. And we need to have tools and we have ways to reconcile these interests and find the place for the public interest. So that's what you have a helping hand to clarify a picture. That's economics, for example. And we can give value to nature in other ways as well. If we want to develop something, then nature can help us. In this picture, you can see that, maybe we'll build a treatment plant to have drinkable water, but maybe you can develop the watershed, the forest, with many ways. Some direct, or some just agreements with the landowners, and you have the same amount of volume of drinkable water. And maybe if you are good in arranging it, it is cheaper than having something as a technical solution, and everybody is better off. Why I put this on? Because it's very important to see that ecosystem services just directly thing that provide us well-being. There's always an interaction. Society interact with their natural resources, and that's what create well-being. And the ways of this interaction, the quality of our institutions, are key in what we have as well-being from the same amount of capital. If you have a good business, from the same amount of money, you could have a bigger benefit. If you have a bad business plan, then you will have a smaller benefit at the end, or a more risky one. This works the same way. So we deal with water, but when we deal with water, really we deal with land. If you want to restore nature, you need land for it. And you can have land from many sectors deal with the same way with land. And they can help each other if these policies are implemented properly or in a coherent way. And if you want to provide flood safety, you need more land. That's spatial flood risk management. You can slow down the flow, or you can give water at the floodplains. It's a service for the society, but you have to arrange that you want to benefit as a safety, but you need place for the water at least temporarily. But these places are mostly privately owned. And it would be a big problem just to grab the land for somebody else's benefit. It won't work. And we heard that nature is on scale. On scale, you can grab the land. So you have to have tools that you agree with the landowners. And then it's about business. In a way, they can produce benefits for the public if it's arranged. This approach, land for flood, is something that try to explain and enhance it in the case of flood risk reduction. But it's the same thing that we can integrate. If we have place temporarily for floods, then we have place for some wetlands, and we have place for infiltration, and we are with tools against droughts as well. So we have to somehow integrate these issues. But we need this kind of agreements or institutions. How it could work? Altenmark, Austria. It's a kind of agreement on a river. But you can see here, when Altenmark is flooded by the Enns River, and this is when a polder, a meadow, was introduced as a safety flood peak polder against 30 years return frequency floods or higher. It's a physical infrastructure. But what is behind this social infrastructure? A flood protection corporation. There are providers of this extra safety, landowners with 20 hectares, and there are the beneficiaries who provide the money for this corporation. And they pay for it depending on their exposure. It's one way to deal with it. The state provides some money, but the institution, the law behind it. That's one way to deal with it. Another one, another example, it's a dike relocation project at the Middle Tisza at Fokuropuszta. What happened? This was the former dike, then it was put to here, so the channel just was widened. Yeah, you can, and some fish spawning habitat was introduced, and the old dike was taken away, and new habitat was introduced. It was before and after. And there is a CBA that we conducted with the contribution of the Middle Tisza Water Directorate. It was an ex post analysis. It was a positive balance investment cost. The biggest benefit was flood risk reduction, but there are other ones coming from CO2 sequestration, being a spawning area. The meadow maintenance was a negative element. I will describe this later on. So, I think, but why I bring it here? When we introduced this to the local people, then the Angler Association said that, okay, it's here, but the problem is that we can't use fish to repopulate the river. What the anglers have to do for the resupply the fish that they took out by the Hungarian law. So you have to have it from a fishery. So in some way, this revenue, this benefit is not here because it can be calculated. That cost of using the nature, you can't put it as a monetary benefit. That was bees. When I saw this, I asked, oh, it would be perfect for having new beekeepers to have some area. Then the directorate colleagues said that, yeah, but we offered them many slots around the dikes, and they don't want to use it recently. So we have a potential, but economically it don't have a real monetary benefit. So it's not something that we can put into a CBA. Just want to say that potential is there, nature is there, but is it a benefit or not? Depends on how we interact with nature, what are our institutions. Can we develop our local economy by law, or law just somehow stop it to be developed themselves? So, and an important, this area that was arable land was bought out by the state. So it was cropland, but now no people there who earn living from it. That's why the meadow maintenance is negative, because it's just cutting the grass from an EU subsidy. And nobody's thinking about what could be the benefit of that land. And that's a problem. When you think about the depopulation of the countryside, it means this. pushing out people of their natural habitat. And that's another problem. So we can't do things just one way. Okay, back to some kind of water framework directing thing, always it's the USA. Diffuse nutrient overloads, not just the European problem, it's a US one as well. Some tightening regulation forced the people or the agencies in the Greater Miami watershed, Ohio, to do something with the overload of this the nutrient. One way was to develop or introduce a new treatment plant. The other was to introduce measures on the watershed, buy these solutions from the farmers, the one who willing to service it with the lowest cost. So there was an auction after a very, very precise flow simulation took place. So there was a very serious hydrological development behind. So an auction bought the cheapest offers, and there was a reduction in the cost to adapt to a new regulation. Only the households and the users of the water treatment plant would responsible by law for this, to adapt to this regulation. In the context of the Water Framework Directive, if this state would be in Europe, then the farmers would be liable for this nutrient overload as well. But the solution wouldn't have been different. The difference would be that these $38 million now came from the users of the water treatment plant. Then it would come from the farmers and the households and the industry together. But the solution, as an economically efficient solution, would be the same. That's the difference what economics, if it used, can provide. But there are huge amount of players behind the scenes. It's from another study, but these are all necessary knowledge or something else to be in play. And if it's not there, this could be fail. That's what the OECD described as a problem, that there is an institutional layer that is just missing between the top and the ground. And if these things doesn't work, held by some rules and institution, then won't be implementation, and we just failed. Okay, one last example. Ecological focus area formation was something that we tried to achieve 2 caps before. And we made a trial around Mako, an agricultural area in Hungary. How could farmers adapt to this new regulation? That was a real serious issue then. If one farmer just adopt to this, then just set aside the lowest productive element of his or her land. If a community wants to have a way, and they could set out the lowest productivity areas of them all, so there must be some kind of gain, cost reduction in adaptation. But how to engage with other, which parts to set aside, and what could be the payments. So we made an auction. We started with a map of hydrologists making the, where are the pluvial flood threatened areas. Then we asked the farmers just to evaluate this map. Is it good or not? So it was start how the game that bringing in their knowledge. Then we made this auction. Just tell us about your land, what amount of money you want for the others to set aside. The result was, so it was the supply curve for each of the this 1,700 hectares. And it's a hugely productive area of Hungary from agricultural terms. But from the bids you see that there are 8 times difference between the lowest productivity and the highest productivity patches. things that only farmers know. There are many simulators, and the guy here, you won't simulate this knowledge from top or anyway. If you use the land, you will know it. The result was a 38% reduction in the cost of adaptation. Then it was a trial, research trial. Nothing happened on the ground because nobody adapted, and the state didn't adapt it, and neither the agricultural chamber of commerce neither pushed this solution for the farmers. Now we have the same issue with creating water and wetlands in the area in the new CAP. So maybe we can do something similar and we can find a place of the water. But it's just pure economics, economic tools in working for something like the Water Framework Directive. Okay, some conclusion. What we do, just integrate landowners through solutions that give them services, to provide services, not compensation, but give something. Flood risk mitigation, diffuse nutrient reduction, carbon sequestration, most important, and providing space for water-based landscape elements, this new one that's coming. All can be arranged, helped, supplied with economic instruments. And the same thing that you mentioned before, that neither policies nor the Water Framework Directive won't proceed if there is no community-driven stewards on the land. That's key. That's missing now. These are the way to bring in people. Now the advertisements, I'm an economist. A friend's book, it's free, both free. How economics think about adapting to different capacity or resource limits. And the commons, which means the common pool resources, like a landscape forming risk of droughts or floods, it's an economic term. You can manage it. Be something planning in a city or in a landscape, providing these public services. This is a very good book again from David Zetland. And I think this is something that it works ahead. And another one, again, advertisement. We will have two online workshops on these water resource management issues under climate change. So anybody is welcome to register. One is in Hungarian, another one is in English. So thank you.